was afraid of getting sideswiped by some maniac changing lanes. I think it's much better. There's only been an 8-second delay from the initiation of the striking. So I completely disagree with the idea that traffic is worse on Willamette. That's not true at all.
Other people
I
see
live
it
on
every
West
day.
29th, there is no testing being done on there compared to the things they have in front of the gas station. We've been asking him to test West 29th the whole time, and we've got refusal.
Okay, so
We're gonna
Emily
take a
says
vote.
that someone has put out a motion for an appeal.
Who was that? That person?
So I want you to understand, our association currently owes about $7,000 from our last LUPA appeal. When I took over the association, we're about $45,000 in debt. We currently have a bank account balance of around $900. We are given money from the city, but it can only be used for outreach funds and is mostly used to support our postcard mailings and newsletters.
We were told that we are not have to pay if the association does it. That's what we
So
heard.
let me ask you guys,
Is the association
we
paying
have-
for it, or is it that the association supports?
there was a request from one of the speakers for the neighborhood association to appeal the decision. I don't understand exactly what an appeal would commit us to. I also don't understand specifically if there's a lot of concerns regarding height and traffic, what we would have, are we appealing the city's recommendation for mitigation? Because it sounds like that's the part that we really don't believe in.
So if you were to, any person were to file an appeal, what you would be claiming or arguing is that the planning director erred in the decision on either the traffic impact analysis or the adjustment reviews or both. And that if any part of that decision is wrong, and what you would do is explain why it doesn't meet the criteria where the planning director said it did meet the criteria. And so, in the case of traffic, you may have to provide some evidence as to why the study is incorrect.
There's a question. I've heard you refer to the planning review, whatever. Can you explain a little bit about, because I've heard a lot of things being based on that. Can you kind of just a quick overview of what that means for us?
Okay, I noticed when you say planning review, you mean, these are both land use applications, so they are submitted to the city by the developer, and we are, per the code and per state law, follow timeframes and certain process, and both of these follow that, and we're in the appeal period right now, but when they're submitted, we review them just to make sure they have the information we need. Once we have that information, those of you within 300 feet got a notice that the application had been submitted, and you had an opportunity to comment. I think in this particular case, there was a second comment period because they had submitted additional information. And then the planning director issued a decision based on whether or not the project was consistent with the land use code. And now there is this opportunity to appeal. If it is appeal, if someone does submit an appeal, then there is a public hearing before the hearing's official. And that would probably happen in early March. And that's, again, an opportunity. Anyone can speak at that hearing, not just the person who filed it or organization who filed the appeal. But again, it has to be based on those two land use applications. It has to be based on the traffic impact analysis, and it has to be or on the adjustment review or both. So it's limited to those issues. Does that help you?
It was the adjustment review that I was.
Okay. Yes.
I just have a comment. One of the speakers was speaking, I believe someone on the board cursed, and I think that's highly inappropriate, and I just want that to be acknowledged, that we should try to keep civility, even if we disagree, because that's extremely rude and a poor example for someone on the board to curse while another person is speaking. It's very disrespectful.
Yes, thank you.
So the question is it true that if the board applies for the appeal, it doesn't cost the $250 fee is waived?
That is my understanding.
How about if a single individual applies? Do they-
Then it's 250.
Then it's $250, but the board has some debt. But if you want to, we can take the vote.
Yeah.
Should we take a vote?
Before you consider taking a vote, consider this. We have, what, maybe 50 of us in the room today? We have about 12,500 residents in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
When we worked on the Amazon headwaters case, it occupied and consumed our board for roughly 15 to 20 years. So I live on 31st, so this is a big deal to me too. But I also know neighbors that are concerned about Rest Haven and Chimoti Trails and other land use areas in our neighborhood. So is it fair for the 50 of us who live near 31st to make the decision for our association tonight that we commit ourselves to this path?
Heather, it's more fair than your board decision to write that letter saying, we welcome this
I just have
proposed-"
to, okay, the exact statement was, we welcome the development as a significant addition to our neighborhood.
Right, no, wait a minute, the board welcomes Amazon Quarters as a significant, yes, that's right, that's right.
I just want to
But
say
we
that,
don't, not at 6.
I just want to say that another pathway for appeal could be for a group of neighbors or interested people to get together and do it, not through Southeast Neighbors as a neighborhood association, but a group of neighbors who care about it. And there would be costs involved. There would be the $250. There would also be the cost of an engineer to do our own traffic study, and a cost of perhaps Evan as a consultant also helping to shepherd this application. So we would do some fundraising, and it would be not tax deductible fundraising if people wanted to contribute to that. We're guessing it would cost around $6,000 or so altogether. And if there's enough people who want to participate, we could talk about that tonight. So that's an alternative to going through the association.
I have a comment on that. We only have like 4 days or 5 days within this appeal. So that's not.
Just the form.
Just a form, okay.
45 days to do a study and the whole thing.
You asked if it was fair for us to vote today on this. So what do you think would be fair? Because you said a lot of people aren't represented, but we're the people who came out because we care. So what would you
I
think
think
is fair?
there's a lot of logistical concerns when you're asking your association to file the appeal. Are you gonna give money towards it? Are you gonna give volunteer time towards it? Do we
I got
have the
20
capacity
bucks.
as a
Anybody
board
else
to
wanna
do
add?
it? I don't know, there are these other considerations. We have to look to our charter to decide. We have the opportunity to put it out to a neighborhood vote, or we could make that decision tonight.
Well, we don't have
But
time.
we need to
for
understand
neighborhood
what it
votes.
commits us to.
There's no time for neighborhood votes because it's 5 days away, so.
Yeah.
So if the Southeast Neighbors as an organization files this appeal, what exactly is that committing you to as an organization as opposed to what we would be doing as citizens? And the other thing is, Heather does have a point about this. You know, these guys do put a lot of hours in on a voluntary basis. You know, if we really think this is so important, then we really should be getting out there and volunteering and helping. And I have to say I disagree in one aspect, and that is I live south of the majority of this issue. And I still feel like it's impacting me because that's, again, the thoroughfare that I use to get into downtown Eugene. It's impacting me. I don't live 300 feet away from it. I didn't get notification of this.
What about a combination effort of having the local group that William talked about and the Southeast Neighbors to join together? And I think between the two, and then other groups that might want to join together too, we could come up with $6,000 easily. The bigger picture is just too important.
I was just thinking of canvassing the neighborhood. I mean, I've also stayed home for these meetings. And how many other people are
This is my first time.
I was just gonna say, maybe we could canvass the neighborhoods, we need to be informed. I don't usually come to these meetings, and maybe there's hundreds more like me.
Well, how about if we have a sign-up sheet for people who would like to follow up on this idea? Does that make sense?
Could we have a vote tonight?
Not me, not as we Southeast Neighbors, but as an individual organization.
Can something be said on the website about the meeting and how many people is the city, is Mike, is the traffic analysis gonna see the tape of this meeting? And is there something that could be put on the website to sort of change this environment of this letter that you said, we welcome, as if we're fine with 5 stories, when you've heard so many people feel because of the height, it's gonna affect the traffic. So is there any way, can we have a vote for the board to correct
Do
this
you recommend we say we do not welcome?
We
The-
have a vote tonight. We have a vote in Southeast neighbors tonight.
We welcome change and growth, but it's, the height
asking
is.
for 3 stories, is that what you're
Yes,
asking?
well, everybody
Instead of
here has
5.
been saying 3 stories. He was even saying 4 in the
I
newspaper
guess-
article.
You know, we could do that,
Yes.
but are you expecting that it's gonna have any impact?
Yes, we do, because
If we, as a neighborhood association, tell a private owner that they should have a
Yes.
3-story
Yes.
house instead of a
He
5-story
asked
house,
for
do we
the
have any
support.
right there?
He asked for the support of the community.
You can ask for whatever you want, it's totally up to you.
There's no
I'm not even sure what your point is.
Alright, we have another problem in that, and we're supposed to be out of here.
Do we have the vote?
But we should, maybe, what do we want to vote on?
The Southeast neighbors would join in with other
I
people.
think we have 2 things that we need to vote on. One is whether Southeast neighborhood would join with a group like Friends of Amazon Creek and asking for an appeal. And the second vote is whether the Southeast Neighborhood Board would write a new letter, maybe for a public record, saying that we.
And the website.
And the website saying we would want 3 stories instead of 5. Should we take this vote right now?
And also have the video.
Okay, Heather, we need to take these 2 votes. All right, the first vote is, how many people here would, please come to order, please be quiet, so that we can all hear. How many people would like to have the South